What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of the HBO series Task. This will follow episode 2, which is called Family Statements. It is directed by Jeremy Zagar. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a pretty intense episode, to be fairly honest. There is a lot of moving pieces. Once again, the chessboard is being kind of placed. This is a miniseries, so it's only eight or nine episodes. We learn about new characters. We learn about the fact that Sam, the young kid who's very precocious, very young-spirited, is an individual that just kind of wants to go back to his family. But of course, as we learn, the family's dead because of Robbie and Cliff, and they have taken the kid. And now, not only is the task force that is led by, of course, Mark Ruffalo's character going after him, trying to find out where the kid is, but now we have the Dark Hearts, which include Perry and Jason, who are two new individuals that are part of a gang who basically sell fentanyl. And what was a kind of trap house takedown from Robbie and Cliff, turns out they thought it was money, but it's really fentanyl that they've basically taken from these Dark Hearts who control the fentanyl trade. And it's a lot of stuff. A lot of things are going on in this episode. And basically, Jason and Perry are introduced. Perry is the head of the Dark Hearts. He's the individual that controls the group. And Jason's kind of his second in command. Everything goes wrong, and they have to find out who kidnapped Sam, because of course two of the members of the Dark Hearts have been killed. And they know information about the task force. They know information about what's going on, but they don't know who killed the two individuals. But they know that there is a character named Peaches, which they brutally murder I'm assuming they brutally murdered the father of Peaches and the father of the fiance of Peaches, and I'm sure she was killed in the process. But these people are not the ones you want to be trifling with. They're not ones you want to be messing with. Sam, of course, was taken by Robbie and Cliff. He's now this young kid who's very good in this episode, very precocious. He is just very kind of a young kid who just really wants to get back to his parents, but he is lied to by Robbie and stuff like that. And it becomes just this chaos mess of madness because Maeve is in the process of trying to deal with the fact she's basically taking care of Robbie's kids, and she's dealing with that scenario. We see her at her job, which is like a Dave and Buster's in a lot of respects. She's talking to her friend about all the chaos that Robbie has caused. And of course, Sam just kind of wants to be a kid, and he wants to pet the rooster or the rooster and stuff like that. And Robbie lies to him, makes him pancakes and stuff like that about where his parents are. And it leads down this road that, of course, is going to be very hard to get out, because once I'm guessing, because this is kind of pretty predictable, once the Dark Hearts realize who Robbie is, they're going to go after him. They're going to murder him, of course. The task force is getting closer and closer to try and figure out where this kid Sam is. They talk to Peaches, of course, fiance and her father. And of course, we learn later on how bad that goes for those two individuals. It's not even their fault, but it's the unfortunate nature. And there's some powerful stuff there with how devastated the fiance is, and how just misguided she is, and how her father's trying to tell her, I told you about this and stuff like that. And once again, Family Statements is very much a good name for this episode, because we also deal with the stuff on Mark Ruffalo's family side, his daughter and his older daughter and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that in a second. But this episode becomes really kind of it's a cat and mouse game. It's a Heat-like type movie, or I'm sorry, TV miniseries, where we have individuals that are just on different places and boards that are going to eventually kind of collide into one another. And the stuff once again, the stuff with Perry, who's very dangerous, who's very menacing, who basically goes off on Jason about the kid and stuff like that, and then how the kid was taken and how their kid should never be involved in this stuff. There is a lot of levity there. They all meet up to figure out what's going on. Of course, we learn from the task force that the Dark Hearts are part of this mother club, I guess you could say, and basically they are the most legit, non-legit criminals. They will cut off the head or cut off the arms of people who use drugs, who use the stuff they're dealing with, because they want to keep themselves clean, even though they're selling the drugs. It's kind of a catch-22, a kind of, okay, we're going to do this, but we're going to do this type of thing, which I really like. I like, how this episode is heading. what it's doing, because it leads into a lot of scenarios about what the chaos causes when a particular incident causes too much, and then they exasperate it and make it worse. And of course, once again, Sam is taken and he's living in the home of Robbie, and Cliff's freaking out. He's like, we have this kid, what are we gonna do about it? They're gonna find him, we're gonna die. And it becomes more and more out of chaos. Of course, Perry and Jason know that fentanyl can only be sold to a certain individual. So that's an interesting kind of idea, and see where that'll lead. And it leads to Robbie lying to Maeve, who is just trying to keep everything in check, having to deal with the scenario. And he lies to her about who Sam is, why Sam's there. And then when later on, not too long after, Sam opens up to Maeve about his father and mother, which leads to Maeve realizing what Robbie has done. When she researches it, she decides, and unfortunately backs away to allow the kid to be rescued by the task force, because she wants to get back at Robbie because they have a very strained relationship. So she sets him off into the toy store, because he was promised, as long as he did his reading, that he would get a Batman Lego set. So she does that. She uses the phone that they find lost and found to call the task force. They go there, and the kid finds himself back in the car. It's like, oh my God, this is getting worse and worse and worse. And what does she do? She hides the kid. The most convenient applauding happens, where she is able to tell them that, she found a kid that might have fit the description in the arcade that she works in. It turns out to be a false lead, quote unquote false lead, because she hides the kid in, of course, the car. And she basically confronts Robbie at the end of the episode and goes, what did you do? What did you put us into? And it's pretty chaotic. Robbie keeps digging that hole, digging and digging and digging, and it's going to get worse and worse, and it's probably not going to end well for him in a scenario where it doesn't seem like a lot of stuff's going to be very very helpful to anybody in this episode, or in this series, I should say. But we get the beginnings of Perry, we get the beginnings of Jason and Dark Hearts. It's going to be really crazy stuff. I'm sure it's going to get more and more dark as it moves along. At least I hope. Like I said, this is a pretty strong episode. It has a lot of great moments for each character. But I like the stuff with the task force as well. They are trying to figure out leads. Of course, Lizzie has like the noise canceling headphones on. She's singing, and that goes all chaos and all scenario, because one of the characters, I think it's like Anthony or something like that, walks in, scares her, and there's like this tension that happens between the two of them, which they talk about later on. But it's, once again, the task force is looking for this kid. They are investigating their leads. Mark Ruffalo's character is also having to deal with his daughters, and having to deal with her son, and the murder of his wife, and how much of that is a problem. There's a whole sit down at a table where Emily basically, says that she wants to say something at the arraignment hearing or whatever. And then the other daughter's like, why would we do this? We lost our mom. And it becomes really kind of stressful. And it just, like, everything that could happen happens in the episode when it comes to that. And you see kind of a family just in like disarray in a lot of respects. This is why Tom, who has basically admitted that he was a priest to the FBI. He was somebody who dealt with like Columbine and 9/11 and all that kind of stuff. He just to help people with trauma and PTSD. And it becomes, he became somebody that worked at Quantico, and now he's kind of disheveled because he's dealing with the fact that his wife was killed, the fact that his son was the one that caused the accident. Yeah. And then like the whole idea of like how long he's going to be in prison for, and how like the mental state. It really is a lot of chaos going on. But it also leads, like I said, it leads to Maeve making that call, which leads to them trying to figure out where this kid is at. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it with that story. It just, we get some really cool stuff about how the task force is working, and some of the leads that they have, and some of the ideas that they have. And it leads to the idea of that these individuals may have a mole, which is, as far as I know, from what I can tell, they are misled on the simple fact that the mole could not really happen in the Dark Hearts based on their kind of prerogatives and meanings and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where they go. Like I said, it kind of ends there. It ends with like, making the hole in the desert, in the ground, much bigger than it needs to be. And Robbie keeps putting him into a scenario that he didn't need to be in the first place. And he's trying to act like the kid is, there for reasons that Maeve figures out not. And yeah, so there you go. So anyways, it's a pretty pretty dark, pretty depressing, but also quite interesting, good episode, to be fairly honest. It's one of those episodes that really is difficult to watch, but you kind of just can't stop watching it based on what you're seeing. And for my final score of this episode, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I think it was a pretty powerful episode. Is it the best episode I've ever seen? No, but 9 out of 10 shows that this series is really just kind of, it's not for everyone. It's acquired taste when it comes to, like, if you like these types of dramas and so on and so forth. But I think it has some great acting. You know, Mark Ruffalo gives a great performance in this episode, and so does the character, Robbie's character, Tom Pelphrey. And yeah, that's my take on the second episode, which is Family Statements. So there you go. Anyways, comments below. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What is your overall take on this series so far? Are you looking forward to where this series is heading? Let me know why. But yeah, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.